Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ultra Life Today. You know, there's times where you see God weave such a unique tapestry with relationships and people, and today is one of those very events. Today, Adam and I have the privilege of hanging out with someone named Dr. James Bugg. Now, in my opinion, there's doctors of chiropractic, and I love chiropractors, and I've been to some of the best of the best. I've never, ever been to a chiropractor. I kind of look at Dr. Bugg. Adam's kind of a Renaissance guy. I admire that in people. Dr. Bugg in the chiropractic world.
I'm not sure I understand what that means, Josh.
What I mean is you have a unique affinity for art and for music and for creativity and for learning things, and you're inquisitive and you always want to keep learning about just all kinds of stuff. Does that make sense?
That's fair.
Okay,
That's fair.
Very good. And just by the way, formally, I'm Josh Bellew.
I'm Adam Payne. This is Ultra Life Today.
It is indeed. Hey, listen, do you like what we're doing here? It's really easy to just type in Ultra Life, one word, and then today, wherever you love your podcasts. If you love what we're doing, share it. Give us a high rating so that we can beat the big tech algorithm, and like us and share us. And fasten your seatbelt. So I'm going to do a little setup for our guest before I formally introduce him. If you followed our broadcasts or our podcasts, and we now are in the 80s of those, we got some fantastic ones out there with key opinion leaders, integrative and functional medical practitioners, compounding pharmacists, clinical nutritionists. We did our number 2, Adam, number 3, and number 4 broadcast with someone called Kenzie Taylor.
Yep.
And Kenzie is a naturopathic doctor here in Oklahoma City, Taylor's Herbs.
It's an amazing story. I mean, if our listeners, if you guys haven't,
that's what I'm saying. They
got
to go back. Number 2, number 3, and number 4.
In fact,
just
I would recommend
to the beginning.
Go to the beginning before listening to this.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll tie in some really interesting things with this man next to us. But hey, Dr. Bugg, thank you for coming and hanging out with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I look forward to this.
So Adam and I love to hear how God leads someone into their journey of what they've done and how they end up helping people. So give us some snapshots about your life and what got you interested in what you're doing now. And I know you're, again, one of those Renaissance guys. You keep learning. You keep adopting new techniques and
Always.
new modalities and stuff. I mean, I'll just say right now to kind of set the tone for this. Adam knows this. I was suffering with headaches for almost a year. I'd never had headaches before in my life. I go in to see this guy, and he uses a technique to strip away scar tissue all around the back of my neck and head. One session, no more headaches. Wow.
Really?
So, yeah.
So this is recent.
It was about a year ago when I first
I
went
remember
in to
you
see
were
him.
you were like suffering.
It was brutal. I was literally having to sleep when I got home from work, had to sleep kind of partially up. The headache was constant. It was 24/7. Nothing would relieve it. So this guy uses some unique modalities, but he also has some unique presence of the Lord to do some things that he does when you're under his care. It's pretty cool.
So what did you do to our dear friend Josh? What happened? Do you remember that visit?
Well, I put a hurt on him.
You did?
And I will say this. He has
Sorry.
hurt me more than any other chiropractor, but he literally apologizes before he does it. He's like, I love you, brother. This is going to hurt. I'm sorry. Raise your hand if you just can't take any more.
Yeah.
But, 90 seconds later, he was done.
Was it
much.
did you remove the fascia attachment?
Yes, I did some myofascial techniques
yeah.
and some trigger points, and actually learned from a karate teacher, oh my gosh, 40 years ago, when I was in the military, and he taught us how to get rid of a headache. I had one, and he did it to me, and I go, I want to learn this.
Wow.
Any family member.
Okay, so I veered us off into a rabbit trail. Tell us about your life. Tell us about how you're doing what you're doing still today.
Yeah, what did you grow up wanting to go into wellness, Doc, or what kind? Tell us the origin story of Dr. Bugg.
I'd been around chiropractic all my life, and it fixed a cousin of mine. She was basically sent home to die, as Kenzie was.
Wow.
And a chiropractor fixed her and helped her, and so that started a long journey. And I remember my father, he was a policeman in Spencer, Oklahoma, and he couldn't turn the key on his car to start the patrol car. And he went to a chiropractor, and I don't even remember his name. He was in Tacoma Park, Oklahoma. And one treatment, and he was able to turn the key, and
that is so
no more
remarkable.
problems. And so was around osteopaths a lot, and that was mainly our primary care doctor that we always used. We had one, gosh, he was in Spencer, don't even remember his name, but we grew up going to an osteopath, and he would do manipulation.
Right.
And then, long story short, I got my start in natural medicine I had these chronic, horrible sinus infections, like clockwork each month, and I'd have to get what's called a bicillin shot. It's a really thick, painful antibiotic that they inject into your rear, and it was just awful. But
it wasn't taking care of the problem.
No, it would just kind of fix the infection, and then the next month, same thing. Well, a friend of mine, he gave me a book. That same karate instructor gave me a book, and it was called "The Healing Benefits of Acupressure" by a chiropractor named F.M. Houston. And I remember I was due to go get another shot. I was really, really sick, and I said, "Well, I'm going to start looking into this book." And I tried it. It was really, really simplistic the way it's laid out. It would show you. It would show there was different pages that would show you where you can find a pressure point, which turned out to be acupuncture points, for certain things. And you could look in the index and turn to that page. And so anyhow, long story short, I was helped self-help by doing those pressure points on myself, and I
Amazing.
never had to get another shot for that
Amazing.
again.
So hold on. So you're an infection in
Yeah.
your chronic infection by acupuncture, acupressure
yes.
was resolved.
Yes, sir. It was amazing, and that's what really started me on this natural thing.
So how long did it take for it to resolve originally? Was it? It wasn't immediate.
There was some immediacy as far as I started some drainage, which was bad.
Oh, that's cool.
But it took me about 4 days, and and then I would stretch it out. Well, I'll wait another week to go to the doctor and get my bicillin shot. Maybe I can make it 2 weeks, and maybe a month, and then pretty soon, that was it.
That was it.
So.
Yeah, this whole idea of energy meridians in the body and harmonizing those. You know, we have a dear friend, Dr. Brian Frank, he's a world-class, both the American version of acupuncture and then also the traditional Chinese. And he tells some of the most crazy stories of resolving people in one visit of something that's been plaguing them for decades.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Dr. Bug. Dr. Frank wrote kind of the treatise on auricular acupuncture.
Yes.
We were actually talking about that.
Yes.
one of your old classes. You went to, where was it in the world? You went to some other state far away.
My wife and I went to Seattle. Washington State, Seattle, and I was to learn using different auricular parts in the ear. That's acupuncture in the ear using an electric instrument.
Oh, interesting.
That would both find the place. In fact, how acupuncture really was brought over by Nixon was they proved acupuncture by each spot would have a reduced or electrical signal or more electrical signal.
Interesting.
An area of least resistance. So,
Wow.
So we would find the spots, treat it, whether it's positive or negative, and whatever. And each part of the ear is a different hertz, different
Right.
Frequency.
Yeah.
And then you would give the patient. This is for addiction and addictionology. And he was a medical doctor and a chiropractor both. It's really interesting. And he would give you these amino acids. And as I was sitting out at your desk today in the break room,
He and I
Do
already,
you know who
he and
this
I
is?
already had a Dr. Gant story together, but it wasn't Dr. Gant.
It was.
yes, I
you did
I
confirm
read,
it
I
was?
read.
It was
yes,
Dr. Gant.
I did read the
Okay.
book a long time ago, but I
Oh,
looked
no,
down
the
and there's
book.
these
No.
in your formula. There's the same exact amino acids that this doctor would have us give the patient along with the auricular therapy.
And
So-
do you actually think that was Dr. Charles Gant that you saw when we were talking, you weren't sure, but I know you'd read the book, and that led you down that path.
I didn't see him. I just read the book.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
And it was kind
Very
of
good.
briefly. And I remember it wasn't a very thick book, but I was just spellbound.
Okay,
Couldn't put it down.
so once again, these fun side trails we go down. So you were interested. You grew up around osteopath. That was your doctor. You saw relatives utilizing chiropractic and having amazing results there. Didn't you also, like, as you're growing up, did you go right into school? Did you go into the military? How did all that?
Went into the military, the last part of the Vietnam War. In fact, I got hurt training to go to Vietnam.
Not uncommon.
But
I've
I
heard
went on
that.
ahead and stayed in. I ended up in Germany, and when I got out, I had a lot of knee and back problems. In fact, they call me a disabled veteran. I don't like the word disabled. God
Right.
heals all, but
Sure.
anyhow, that's the name given. And this VA has been really, really good. They even hire chiropractors and osteopaths.
Nice.
Now. Yeah, very, it's amazing. Oklahoma City VA. And so I had really bad back problems and neck problems from the military. And we were out in Albuquerque, that same Green Beret friend of mine that taught the self-defense. And we stopped in a chiropractor, a friend of his named Burl Tatum. And he's retired Albuquerque police sergeant, whose son taught at Palmer, the main chiropractic school
Right.
in the United States, in the world actually. It's the original one from D.D. Palmer. And so anyhow, he was worked on my neck, and he was feeling of my, and he had already helped me, and he was feeling of my spine down on my low back. And I thought he was kidding with me. We all kind of had this little slapstick brotherhood too going on. You know how it is, ex-soldiers.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, Jim, have you been constipated?" And I go, "Burl, come on now. I'm hurting." No, he said, when your spine gets locked up down here, it can cause your bowels to not work because the nerves gets pinched.
Right.
And he fixed it, and he adjusted me, and I never had another problem actually. So.
Wow.
And that was my.
So you were constipated.
Yes, bad. And I'm sorry to talk about it, but
Well, no,
this
it's
is
natural.
fantastic. It's such
but
a huge problem for people.
The Lord
Yeah.
led me down to this path by Him showing me that it was more than just for pain.
Right.
And it turns out the nervous system is the master system, and chiropractors we're nerve experts, not bone experts like you'd think, pop in the back. And
Yep.
I've had like Kinsey miracles coming in and fix the nerves and stuff. And you were talking about maybe some different things I do, and I've been really blessed by the Holy Spirit, and wonderful wife too. She's an attorney here in Oklahoma City. And shout out to her, Deborah. I've studied how people, what they do at work. If I didn't do it myself, which I worked so many different jobs, never knew I was going to be a physician of any kind. Never thought about it. Never thought anything about the medical field. In fact, I'd studied massage by this Green Beret that he was helping all these soldiers that come back from war and everything, learning massage and touching and working on people and getting touched. By us learning massage and treatments and acupressure points, it helped us to heal.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, that's how I got started. And then
So how old were you at this point, Doc?
oh gosh, 23, 24.
So
getting help.
So you were in the military.
Yes, I was
And
in
then-
the Army, and then later on I was in the Air Force Reserves.
Okay. Was there? Were you overseas at this time, or?
No, I was back home.
You were back home
out of the military.
Right.
And a black gentleman who's was the school superintendent down in Wayne, Oklahoma, Wayne, Payne, Peola, down by Wynnewood and Pauls Valley.
Yeah.
I was working on him because I was taught. His
So you're
neck
not
was
even a
hurting.
chiropractor
No,
at
no,
this point. You've
no.
just learned these unique things
Yeah,
from this Green
and I
Beret
said-
buddy
I
in the
said-
Army.
I said, hey, let me work on you. Let me give you some relief. And he goes, Jim, he said, you should be a chiropractor. You should go to chiropractic school. I checked into it. Little did I know that it's a full doctorate physician, and we have to go get our undergraduate. And it was really hard. And in any doctoral program, my wife's law program is a JD, Juris Doctorate.
Yeah.
Any kind of a doctorate program is really, really tough. And this was very, very tough to get through. Went to Parker down in Dallas. And the reason I wanted Parker, it just made sense that he taught business too, because you can't keep a business open unless you know how to
do the accounting.
Yeah, and a demographic study of the area to see what kind of patients you need, even signage.
Yep,
Oh my gosh,
location, all of that, parking.
Yeah, and make sure there's no liens on any equipment and so on and so forth. So went down there and I studied anything we could learn on the side. I would study.
So you were signing up for all the courses and picking everybody's brain.
Oh my gosh, all over town. Dallas is a big, Fort Worth is a big chiropractic area, and there's 2 chiropractic colleges in.
Guys, we're going to have to go to a quick break.
Yes,
we are. It's perfect because this is the appropriate time.
This is the appropriate time, yeah.
So thank you for that segue. We're going to be right back with Dr. James Bugg. This is Ultra Life Today. I'm Josh Bellew.
I'm Adam Payne, and we have Dr. Bugg here. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Our mission is to take nature's most beloved botanicals and enhance them with our liquid protein scaffold technology. This helps it reach your cells faster and better. With exponentially enhanced bioavailability, you'll feel better every day. Ultra Botanica, the feel-good curcumin.
Hey, welcome back to Ultra Life Today for a fascinating life journey for that first segment and on into this second segment with Dr. James Bugg, a chiropractor, but as I said in the first segment, a Renaissance guy that is still, as we would probably qualify ourselves as above 60, Doc, we'll just call it that, still loves to learn, still learning things all the time, has a quest and a thirst for knowledge, and We were. And I have to say, you want to reach Dr. Bugg, you can contact him. It's so easy to do. He's right here, local to Oklahoma City. He sees people from all over the metro. People come in from further away than that because this guy does things I've never seen any chiropractor do during the time that he's actually particularly manipulating or doing adjustments. So the way you can get a hold of Dr. James Bugg is area code 405-703-4322. That's 405-703-4322. You absolutely will not regret this. I walk out of there walking about 3 feet off the ground when I go see this guy when I leave. So anyway, you had taken us up through your, and I have to mention, it was pretty cool. I think you were able to take advantage of the GI Bill, right, to help you with your
Vietnam
school.
GI Bill.
Yeah, and that's
great.
really cool because, a lot of people like you and others, if that hadn't been available, we may not have seen you in this profession, because life was hard and money's hard to come by. So, thank you, United States, for at least doing that for our veterans. So, anyway, you're through chiropractic school. You're in Dallas area. You're signing up for courses and learning from all these people there. How did you end up migrating back here to Oklahoma, or where did you go next?
What's really nice, Oklahoma Board of Chiropractic Examiners we run in trimesters in chiropractic college down in Dallas. They let me. They would let the seventh trimester out of the 9 take the Oklahoma boards, and I passed them.
You crushed it. All right.
Wow.
I said the letter came in the mail and it sat on a coffee table for 3 or 4 days. I just couldn't bring myself to open it because it was such a hard test. I thought for sure I'd flunked it.
Oh,
and I
look
passed,
at you.
and I made really good grades on it. So I thought, well, I'm meant to come back to Oklahoma. It looks like, and
that's awesome. What year was that, Doc?
that was 1989.
All right. So did you just strike out on your own when you got here, or did you end up with somebody else?
I ended up with somebody it's really tough for chiropractors with all the prejudice from the AMA and so on and so forth.
And that was one of the eras where you were just beginning to be recognized
Yes.
in your profession. A lot of stink went on in Senate and Congress to get that through, right?
Yeah, and the big lawsuits and everything. And so I moved to Oklahoma City to work underneath another chiropractor, and it really didn't work out. It turned out he was just kind of really just, I'll just be honest with you, just using me. And so I moved to Chandler, Oklahoma, and a chiropractor helped me set up there. And I worked there for 2 or 3 years, and I just wanted to move back to Oklahoma City. I was raised, went to high school in Edmond, raised in Choctaw, Nakoma Park, born in Shawnee.
Spencer, where they used to ride horses to school. You mentioned Spencer with your dad and a policeman out there.
Yep, they did.
That's funny.
Yeah. When I first saw my wife, this is long before I met her. She was riding a horse, and her and her girlfriend parked at Sonic on Northwest Expressway.
This is fantastic. I love these kind of
That's
stories.
Oklahoma.
That's so cool.
So anyhow, I moved back to Oklahoma City, and our board has you take stuff every year. Of course, we have to do relicensing seminar, and they're very strict on what it can be. And they've had some good things. I'm really proud of the board. There's two major groups: the Unified Chiropractic Association, and then the other one. Anyhow, you take classes, and so they've had good stuff. And so I would take those 8-hour courses and then follow up with you can't learn so much in 8 hours.
Right.
Or 16
So this
hours
is like
over the weekend.
continuing medical education.
Continuing
CME.
education. So I would go ahead and pursue each thing that we learned and learn it more. And then I went to acupuncture school. It was at the man that Chinese man that he ran the stroke area of the University of Wichita Medical School.
See, that is so cool when you hear about a conventional medical doctor like that may even be like sitting at the top of their game in a particular unit, like a cardiac unit, and then you find out maybe they came from Asia, and all of a sudden they totally believe in that because that's just standard medicine in their countries, right?
Yeah, we had MDs, DOs, and chiropractors in the class with us.
Nice.
Dr. Kizigao, he's amazing, from Evergreen. Evergreen was the name of his place. I think they're closed now, but I learned Chinese herbs, and they're a lot different than American herbs.
So under like traditional Chinese medicine, or
Yes.
Yes. So Doc, you've taken on your own flavor in terms of how you practice medicine with your patients. Have you broadened your scope of beyond chiropractic, or I know there's something unusual that you do that I think it really resonated in my heart, which is, in fact, when we were talking about coming in and doing the interview, you said, "Look, Adam, I just seek whatever wisdom and inspiration I can get from the Holy Spirit."
Yes.
With every patient and every visit. Was that always the case, or was this something that you've essentially grown into over time?
I've grown into the Holy Spirit part of it. One of the instructors down in Dallas, Dr. Brown, he was a medical doctor and taught a lot of he's chair for the basic sciences. He said, Jim, you're a Christian and don't know it. So I guess I really had.
Oh, I love
That was awful nice.
I know a guy. I know a guy that says whenever I meet people, I just have one thing to say to them. I said, if you say you're not a Christian, you're about to be.
Yes.
It's like, okay.
I can blame my wife for I waited till she wasn't a patient of mine for about a year to be keeping it straight, and
so you waited a year before you dated your wife.
Yes, but she invited me to church 2 years earlier, and that stuck in my head.
Wow!
So I have her to thank for it.
But so this relying on Holy Spirit wisdom or inspiration, something that it's changed in your life. This is something different. It's new, but there has to be some stories here.
I've had 10 major surgeries. I've been hurt
you
really
yourself.
bad. Yes.
Wow.
But I think God has used all of that. I tell you what I do. I do what helps me on each patient.
Okay.
And I start with Mary's not able to work right now. My secretary had a heart attack, but we're
Oh, my
hoping she
gosh.
can come back. But anybody that would call in for a visit, she would hand me the phone. I'd ask her to, unless I just wasn't there, and I would set up the appointment. The diagnosis and everything started the minute that I heard their voice.
Oh, interesting.
This is beautiful.
Whether they're Hispanic.
So the Lord would actually give you something the moment you could hear their voice.
Yes, and you might call it a shotgun approach, which I don't just, if they come in for low back pain, I'm darn sure gonna check everything on them.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
already, the little toe could be it, and mentally and spiritually figure out, and I'll invite if their spouse is in there, either man or woman, I invite them to come in with them so they can see. I can show them the leg length descriptives, all the different diagnoses that I do, and it reaffirms that, hey, this person's really needing help, and it brings the whole family and the kids too.
I was in your anteroom waiting the other
Yes.
day, hearing you interact with this lovely friend of the lady you were working on, and you were interacting with the little daughter too, and I was just like, this is phenomenal, just what's taking place in this next room as you're bringing healing to these people, because you were bringing healing and encouragement to everybody that was there. It was really cool.
The healing starts at home.
So, how do you feel like what do you feel like what's happening in your inner man, in your spirit? Is it like an encyclopedia opens up in your heart? Do you get an impression, a direction? What do you feel? I mean, I'm asking for some things that you might not be able to, or that you might not have tangibly thought about. But what does the Lord show you? What does it feel like to you?
Well, the Holy Spirit, I call it the universal mind.
Sure.
You tap into that universal mind, and just answers will be there. And if they're not there, I pray a quick silent prayer, and of course pray with the patients. I've only had one patient that
did want to pray with you, huh?
Yes, but I said, well, do you mind if I pray? And he says, go ahead. A year later, he comes to me and asks for prayer. So
I have to share a quick one to set us up before we move into our next segment. We've got about 3.5 minutes left. So I was in Dr. Bugg's office the other day, and Adam, this is to your point, okay?
Yeah.
I'm in Dr. Bugg's office the other day, and he's doing things on my body that he's never done before. And I started to tell him about something that had really been troubling me since January. You know what that is, Adam. And we've gone back and forth and talked about it, and I've tried different things and taken lots of supplements. And just as I was about to open my mouth and really kind of get into my story, I was going to give him a little brief health history of me since January. I'm looking up at him because I'm on my back on the table, and I literally see his eyes change. It's just like, cuckoo, like that, It's like you see in a science fiction movie or something. It's like his eyes changed. It's almost like they got more colorful than they were, and I saw this expression, and he goes, oh, wait a minute. And he started going down this road, and he go, were you agriculture? Were you part of? And I started setting, he said, you've been exposed to mold. And then he reaches around and he touches, and then he reaches around and touches my left lung, which I have had
You've had those
this
issues.
trouble with. And so I got much more.
Why
than,
am I
got
not
much more than
surprised
I got
about
much
this?
more than the shotgun
Why am I
thing,
not surprised?
because while he was working on me, then he beautifully had opportunity. This wasn't some formal thing. This was this guy palling around with Holy Spirit and just, being in the thick of things and in the mix.
Josh, what our friends here need to know is that Josh has been living in a house that has had a huge mold problem over the last couple of years.
2 years.
Yeah,
2
and
years.
so when you came to me and said, suspecting that something else might have been going on, I've been telling him that you need to this is probably a mold issue, and lo and behold, that's beautiful.
Yeah, but the beautiful part is then he just very lovingly, in about a 20-second thing, said a prayer, placed his hand on me, kind of went like that, like
Get out of
go
here.
away. And I kid you not, I walked out of there feeling better than I have, and I have actually felt better every day in
That's
that
wonderful.
lung, Doc.
That's
and so
wonderful.
the thing that I say about going to see this guy, it's not just his incredible bag of tricks that he has
It's not a
because
bag
of
of
the
tricks.
continuing education. We come from that era. We can joke with each other. So anyway, but yeah, he's just got all these tools. He's got all these modalities. He's got all this knowledge. But the thing that is so cool is God is the one that weaves the story and the tapestry, and he's the one that gives the insight and the download into James to be able to cooperate with what the Lord wants to do to bring healing. So to me,
Yeah.
it's like you get so much more than you bargained for when you go see this guy.
I see
you.
the same thing. I think what you were seeing was the Holy Spirit connecting with James right at that moment.
And it
does.
was just this beautiful
I see it-
interruption. It
I
was
see
so
it
cool.
So I hang around Israel Hannah, who's an
Oh, yeah,
evangelist
yeah,
all the time, and I see when the Holy Spirit hits him,
Oh yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I know, and he gets a download from
Yeah.
the Lord, and I know he's like, and he's on a mission because he's gonna be,
Yeah.
praying with somebody or going after somebody.
So-
it's a beautiful thing.
So we're going to move into another segment here in a minute. You're listening to Ultra Life today. Do you want to contact Dr. James Bugg? I think you probably do. The phone number is 405-703-4322. And guess what? You're probably going to be talking directly to him
Yes.
because it's part of his whole process the Lord's given him to bring healing to people. 405-703-4322. My friend, my new chiropractor as of about the last year. I think Adam's in the throw of things now with
yeah,
Dr. Bugg as
yeah,
well.
I've been there.
And so we'll see you on the other side of this break. Ultra Life today. I'm Josh Bellew. That's Adam Payne on the end. We got Dr.
Yep.
James
And
Bugg
actually,
in the middle.
the next two segments that we'll have with Dr. Bugg, stay tuned next week, and please come back. Ultra Life today.